Hi, this is Les-Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. All of the talk of what the Indians are going to do is based on whether or not they think they can catch the Minnesota Twins. Well, now is the time to start finding out. Starting tomorrow, they've got 3 against Detroit, 4 against Texas on the road, then 3 back home against the Tigers next weekend. That's 10 games, and I think the Indians ought to win at least 8 of them. If so, they're back in the hunt. If not, they don't deserve to be. They're 10.5 games behind Minnesota right now. If they can cut it to 7 after these 10 games, it's time for them to be buyers. If not, start selling. Brad Hand's value will never be better. Jose-Ramirez's will never be worse. There's no reason why they can't make a run for it, considering how bad the Tigers are and how bad Texas is. They will make or break the Indian season between now and next Sunday. The D-man Dennis-Manoloff is here tonight. More Sports and Les-Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les-Levine, it's a Thursday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les-Levine into our 23rd year, soon to be 24, and as always, seen here exclusively on cleveland.com, as is the D-man, Dennis-Manoloff, who checks in. You got double duty tonight. You got to do your radio gig on WTAM at the end of the show. This is like a dress rehearsal for the radio show.
A little bit. This is more advanced probably than I'm capable of. But I was going to say, Les, how do I juxtapose what just happens to be in front of me, which is Bud Shaw's opening comment from Tuesday night, the text thereof.
Right.
This simply isn't the Indian season for those reasons and others, against your semi-optimism.
All right, help me out here. You got 10 games. You got 6 against Detroit and 4 against Texas. Come on, what do you expect this team to do?
But I agree with. I guess I can agree with both, because I think Bud is saying here, the time's fast approaching where it's pack up and go home,
right,
sell or compete. You're pretty much saying the same thing, that these next couple of weeks or these next 10 days have got to be bountiful, or else the front office is going to be like.
And that means
why?
Either the Indians go crazy and win, or Minnesota comes back to reality.
Yeah, and I don't think you can count on both necessarily. And I do believe that the division is out of reach, just because it's too difficult to overcome double-digit deficits no matter what time of the season you're at. It's rare.
What if they're 6 games behind at the All-Star break?
I still think 6 games behind at the All-Star break is significant.
Okay. The only reason it's not doable, if you want to go that way, is they're not very good.
Yeah, that's a big problem. And, you hear around here it said, well, the Indians have been beset by injuries. There's no doubt Indians have been hurt by injuries. But the Twins had this power surge recently without Nelson Cruz.
Right.
So they could say, well, wait a minute, we didn't have our big thumper and we still survived. So it looks like the Twins are a team that can hold on. But even if they do falter, let's just give them the division, okay? Wild card, though. Indians very much in it.
Doable.
Certainly mathematically.
Yeah.
But you can't escape 34 and 33.
No, it's still 1 game over 500.
That is not wild card.
Yeah.
Even though you're in it mathematically, 34 and 33 is not a wild card team.
All right, let's talk Indians a little bit later. Let's talk about the Cavaliers, believe it or not, here in the middle of June. They made some history yesterday, made a splash nationally, and Lindsay Gottlieb has been named an assistant coach. I believe 32 years old, right? Is that what I believe?
Not sure.
And yet, John Beilein says she'll have a significant input into offense and defense. Tell me how you think that this will be received. I think it's received well by the fans, but how's it going to be received by the players?
I think it will be fine, given the roster that we can think the Cavs are going to have,
young,
or close to it. Yeah, and I think we're past that. it's not a pioneer per se. You know what I mean?
No, the only
Gottlieb
reason
is
it's
not,
history. The only reason they say it was history, she was a sitting head coach at the time when she was hired. Other women had not been head coaches at the time they were hired.
I think it's going to be fine, and I think sooner than later. And I know there's more, but Becky Hammon, of course, is the biggest name when it comes to the NBA female coaching ranks. I think it'll come a point sooner than later where the players view
just like another
Coach Gottlieb as Coach Gottlieb.
Right.
They're not going to go, oh, that's a woman there. They'll say, no, she's a coach.
She comes highly recommended. I mean, if you can break through the female barrier here, the vibe on her on the street is very, very good.
I know that the ownership and front office has to sign off, but clearly John Beilein is not, hiring her if he doesn't think she's qualified.
Because he'll be stuck with her.
Because it's his staff. Right. So if she's good enough for Beilein at this point, she's good enough for me.
All right. I just wonder, this is not a case to me of, well, you never played the game before, because there's a lot of great coaches who never played the game.
Fratello comes to mind.
Fratello's one. You can name a whole bunch.
Or maybe Czar did play, but not very long, right? I mean, I don't think he ever got to a high level.
No.
Okay.
He also said he was a terrible linebacker in high school, but that's a different story for a different day. But I think it's going to be, it's not a case of, well, she hasn't played the game before at that level. I think it's just a case is whether the players are going to adjust to her. And I don't believe any of the players have played for a female coach before. I don't think.
Not sure.
But nobody with experience with San Antonio, I don't believe.
I think it'll be fine, though.
Yeah.
Given that Beilein is such a commanding presence and such a good guy. You can be both, I think. You can be a strong leader and a good guy at the same time. You don't have to be a hard butt, if you will. And I think Beilein is a guy that is nice enough that that his staff will be fine.
Well, here's the other thing, and we haven't heard anything in the last 5-6 days about Dan Gilbert. And hopefully everything's working the way it's supposed to work, and he mends very well. Yet, I assume he has to sign off on a move like this unless he had talked about it before he got sick.
Sure. You're right. I don't know what Dan Gilbert's role is here because I don't know what his status is. We don't know what his health status is.
But you don't make a move like that unless you think you have total support from Dan Gilbert.
Exactly.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. You going to watch Game 6 tonight?
Yes, I will. It gets underway when I'm going to be at the studio in Independence for WTAM for the show. Yes, Game 6, Warriors, Raptors, final game ever at the Oracle for sure.
Either
this
way.
time.
Yeah.
And listen, I said it at the time that Toronto needed to kill the wounded bear when it could.
When it could.
It needed to get them the other night.
Yeah.
We'll see if I'm proven correct, but you had to beat them, especially when you're leading by what, 4 or 5 late?
Right.
You've got to close that out. And the champions die hard, and this particular champion is going to die even harder because they've had every reason to pack it in. I hate saying this about the Warriors because I detest them, but look at them. I mean, they've had injuries everywhere. Klay Thompson, we weren't even sure he was going to play again in this series, and he's making everything. Curry, is banged up. Not that I'm, playing the violin for him, but he's banged up. Durant goes down again, because of an injury, and now this one we know is the ruptured Achilles. Looney was playing with a fracture in his clavicle area. I mean, they just won't quit.
With Kawhi Leonard.
Yes, sir.
With Toronto. Mm-hmm. Does this look to you, if they win it and then he leaves, is this paramount? Is this not paramount, but is it close? Is it akin? There's a nice word. Is it akin to what the Cavaliers had when they had LeBron and then lost him, but he got to say, "Hey, I got you the parade." If you're Toronto, if you get the win and you don't see Kawhi Leonard anymore, you okay with that? If you're a Toronto fan.
Yeah, I don't think Toronto fan will be okay with it. It's going to be a much stickier exit for Kawhi than it was for LeBron, because as you said, LeBron could say, "Hey, look at my accomplishments here in the 4 years I was here in LeBron 2.0 4 finals, and we broke the drought.
Right.
So I should have your blessing to move on to the next location. That's when I think about Kawhi leaving potentially after winning a title, I go back to LeBron in Miami.
Yeah.
And remember, I told you I thought LeBron had to lose that.
Because he's got to defend his title.
Right. Because at that point, they would have been 3 in a row.
Correct.
Okay, so there's no way LeBron walks away from 3 in a row. Now, can Kawhi walk away from 1 in a row, if you will? Because he's Kawhi, he probably can. Because you know what? No matter what you say about him, he doesn't care.
No, he doesn't care. He doesn't care.
He really doesn't.
You have a new enterprise coming up starting, when's it starting?
Next week.
Okay.
Diving into the podcasting pool.
Okay.
I've never done it before. I'm doing it with Kenny Rhoda. Next Man Up is what the podcast. Yeah, the Road Man, D-Man. So he said Next Man Up. Women are welcome, of course, but it's Next Man Up. Neither Kenny nor I, to my knowledge, Kenny never has. I know I haven't done a podcast.
Okay.
So we're teaming up with a guy by the name of Chase Smith who does podcast work, and it's kind of his side business, if you will, and he's got 5 or 6 of them in his hopper. So we couldn't be more excited about that. And the first one, the introductory one, is next week.
And when does it air live?
Not sure. We're not exactly sure when, but we will definitely have one for the NBA draft, post-NBA draft.
Okay.
And then before the NBA draft is our introductory podcast.
Excellent. Good luck. We'll keep everybody posted on that one. By the way, when we come back, we're going to take a look at who has the best supporting cast in the NFL. The supporting cast would be offense, defense, obviously the running game and the passing game. We're going to see what one outlet has to say about the supporting cast in the NFL. Last night, Scott Longer was here. We talked about his latest book that he wrote. If you're a Cleveland Indians fan, you'll want to check this out. Scott Longer with the books. In fact, he's got book signings. There you see Bad Boys and Bad Times. It's Bob Feller on the left there when he came up with the Indians. And you've got these upcoming book signings on Saturday. That's from 1 to 3. That's in Barnes & Nobles in Menor. Then on the 16th, which is Father's Day, 1 to 3 at the Book Loft in Columbus. That's in German Village. It's a great Father's Day gift for an Indians fan on your list. He's got some other books. You can check them out at scottlonger.com. D-Man and I return in a moment. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine with new content posted each and every day. Back in a moment. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Birthdays for today, the great one, Red Grange, born on this date in 1903. Mel Parnell, one of the only lefties that, for the Red Sox, that they allowed to pitch back in the 40s and 50s. They allowed to pitch him at Fenway Park. Door is Open. Well, somebody should close it. 1947. Jamario Moon, former Cavaliers, Jonathan Lucroy, remember what the big deal that was, the non-trade for him and Hassan Whiteside? Remember that with Jonathan Lucroy? We thought that was going to wrap up the World Series for the Indians?
Yeah, that's a picture of him with the Rangers. That was the controversy with the Rangers.
Right.
I think he's with the Angels now, but yeah, there's not a whole lot of concern about Jonathan Lucroy anymore.
All right, there is some concern about the Cleveland Browns and their supporting cast, and in the NFL, we're going to rank that is focused on running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. And Bleacher Report, look at that, D-Man. They put the Browns as number 1, Saints number 2, Los Angeles Rams 3, Los Angeles Chargers 4, and the Atlanta Falcons would be 5. You agree with the Browns up on top?
Well, I'm sure the Patriots are amused by that. Like, oh, okay, great. We're just going to win another Super Bowl while you guys fight it out over who's got the best supporting cast.
You guys won in June and July. We won in
Belichick
February.
just laughs at him, Belichick and Brady. By the way, Brady says, I'll take the guy off the street and he'll catch 50 balls from me. Or I'll take a guy off the street and he'll rush for 750 yards as a compliment to my passing attack.
Well, he's absolutely correct. There was some talk he was flirting with the retiring again a couple of weeks ago. I don't believe it for a minute.
I don't know, especially when you watch a few of his training videos.
Right.
I think Instagram or whatever it was had him, on the beach and working it as hard as ever. And my whole point about Brady too, Les, is this. You say, well, how can he be so durable for so long? Well, he's got his, T12. He's got his whole regimen.
He also doesn't get hit very much.
Well, that's exactly right. Think about how many times Tom Brady actually gets knocked down in a calendar year on a football field. Okay?
Do you think there's sort of a respect for him that they don't hit as hard to get at him?
No. I don't think that's the case during regular season games. I'm simply saying that he doesn't go down in practice.
Right.
He doesn't go down in camp unless it's a fluke. Maybe one time a year he'll get knocked down by accident. And that person will be cut, whoever knocked him down. But during games, his offensive line is so good and his feel for the pocket is so good and his offense is so good that he doesn't get hit very much.
Okay.
And he doesn't get knocked down a lot.
The last couple of things you said there leads me to the question of does he also gets rid of the ball very, very early, and so is that as a result of how good the blocking is, or is that he'd rather just throw it away than even consider getting hit?
Right. I think it's a combination of things. First of all, you have an extremely well-coached offensive line that has interchangeable parts.
Right.
Because we've seen that. With
Sure.
Everybody except Brady is an interchangeable part on the Patriots. Brady and Belichick.
Correct.
Even their offensive linemen. We were talking about how great their offensive linemen were. I think 2 of them were gone for free agency. Belichick's like, all right, next man up. Let's go. Speaking of next man up. But
Shameless
I think
plug.
it's a combination of the well-coached, good blocking, and the talent up front, but also Brady's incredible mind. He understands pressure. He feels it. He knows when he needs to get rid of it. He will take the throwaway to hurt his stats.
What does he care about his stats?
Exactly. I mean, he doesn't care if it's an incompletion. He'd rather throw an incompletion than get blasted.
Right.
So he lives to see another down, better than any quarterback in the NFL. And, but I'm saying that he can be a long-term quarterback because he stays on his feet so much.
Well, that all being said, it still looks like when he throws it early, the guys are still wide open. So I don't know what that could be the scheme.
He throws them open and the chemistry. I mean, you think about his chemistry with Julian Edelman.
And Edelman came along halfway through Brady's tenure there.
Yeah, before Edelman was Welker. And they've got all these guys that they understand each other so well. It's very, very. You can be very envious if you're another team, another quarterback, watching how synchronized the Patriots are.
I also think when you're flashing as many Super Bowl rings as Brady is flashing, that's pretty impressive. And no lineman wants to be the guy that gets him hurt.
Exactly. Or you will. A few of those, and you're not playing anymore.
All right, the Bleacher Report, which put the Browns as the number 1 team with the supporting cast, they also talked about 12 NFL players who may not live up to their hype. We're not sure why they put these guys out here or what they said about them.
How many Browns are on the list?
Well, let's check it out.
Oh, boy.
We're going to check it out when we get back.
Okay.
Is that okay with you?
That's a nice tease. That's a very you teased me on that
Yeah,
one.
well, I didn't mean to, but as it turned out, it was pretty good. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. Enjoy the excitement of harness racing and thoroughbred racing as far as the simulcast is concerned, and you can do that Sunday through Wednesday as well as Saturday night with a post time of 6 p.m. It's open early every day for simulcast action. A weekly Sunday contest with the top prize, $500 cash each week. Free admission, free parking every day at Northfield Park. We'll come back, 12 NFL players who may not live up to their hype. We'll come back in a moment with the D-Man Dennis-manoloff exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
My basement was a disaster. We tried carpet, we tried tile on our uneven basement floor, but nothing worked.
Moisture, dampness, even flooding will not harm Nature Stone. And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of June and save up to 50%. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Time for a How Come Quickie. D-Man, how come we call it the World Series with only teams from America and Canada can play in it? What kind of world is that?
Don't take the world serious.
216-575-0403. The number to call. You can email us during the show at real-les-levine@gmail.com. All right, I teased you about the hype, the 12 players who may not live up to their hype. Let's check them out and see what Bleacher Report had to say.
No.
Look at number one on the top left,
Gotta
Odell-Beckham.
look at him first, huh?
Then Kyler Murray, Le'Veon Bell, DK Metcalf, Trent Brown, Quan Alexander. The other side of the ledger, you got Patrick Mahomes. What kind of talk is that? He was the best player in the league last year. Philip Lindsay, Antonio Brown, T.J. Hawkinson, C.J. Mosley, and Landon Collins.
I mean, DK Metcalf's got to be like, what did I do to deserve this?
I just got drafted.
I just arrived, and everybody was excited about my combine, but I don't think people are running around going, oh, DK Metcalf's going to set the world on fire. And yet he makes that 12-man list.
You know what this proves? There's too much time in the offseason from the Super Bowl till training camp.
Which leads me to this, Les, and I don't know if we talked about this last week.
Do it.
The 18-game season. You know, for a long time, I said no to the 18-gamer because of concussions, because of all the health and the injury issues. But I'm kind of going back the other way and saying, all right, here's Goodell talking about 4 preseason games, too many. He's clearly...
Well, that part is very true.
Yeah, and he's dropping the hint, getting ready for the next CBA to get this scheduled to 18. But the main reason I want 18 is because I want more NFL football.
Okay, but from a competitive standpoint, 16 is about the right number. You can determine who your top teams, division winners, and wild cards. You can do that in 16. It's not like you need the more games.
You know what I'd like to do, Les? How about instead of 1 bye week a year, 3? Just stretch the season out a little.
Are you aware what January weather is like in half of the NFL?
You know what? What happens between August 15th and September 1st?
What happens?
Give me the NFL at the end of August instead of middle of September.
Okay, that's fair.
I just want to extend the regular season time frame because of this.
Well, here's the problem.
We're excited about the Browns, but we have to wait until what?
Okay, but here's the problem. What if your main player, your quarterback, gets hurt in week 8, 9? You're going to get an awful lot of other people getting hurt if your team can't rebound and get back in the hunt. If you have a quarterback who is hurt and your team is totally damaged as a result, you're going to get more guys hurt if you're stretching it to 18 instead of 16.
And it's easy, again, it's easy for me to say, sitting on my couch, go to 18. The players are like, really? I mean, you don't know, you don't have any idea what it's like to go through one half of one game, right, let alone 16.
And the regulars don't play game 4 anyway, and they only play maybe a half of game 3. But if you're stretching it out to 18 games, you're asking them to go full go for an extra 2 games.
Yeah. And I do.
And by the way, they'll make 10 or 15 or 20% more money as a result.
Right. But I do believe when these players say that, they need the summer to prepare their bodies for what's coming in the next 4 months.
But what is the average amount of years we're talking about for an average player? 3 years?
It depends on position. Running back is what, 3.5 to 4 max?
So now you're asking to extend that over, if 2 more games per year for 3 years is another 6 games?
That's a great point. That's a fabulous point. It's easy for the star player to say, oh yeah, like, more games, more pay for me.
Right.
But you're right. You would think it would shrink the shelf life of most positions, and therefore the individual player would say, well, I'm not going to be around that long.
Right.
I may get a couple extra games a season, but what if I lose a season? As opposed to an extra 6 over 3 years.
Although I'm also guessing that if they add 2 games a year, they're going to add, 6 players on the roster instead of a 53-man roster? Well, you've got more than that anyway with the practice squad. You have probably, would you say there's 10 guys on the practice squad normally?
Not exactly sure.
Okay, but let's say it's 8 or 10. Yeah. Now, they're not making the full amount of money that they're not making NFL minimum, but they would make NFL minimum. They'd still have to have a practice squad above and beyond. But you may be talking about an extra 300 players getting jobs, which the CBA, which the union would probably be happy to have.
Correct, but you still have to, if you're Goodell and the 18-game proponents, you still have to get around the very, very serious issue that is concussions.
Especially
that problem is nowhere close to being solved.
Right, especially when it
may never be solved.
No, and not only is it a real thing, it's a bad look on top of it.
Yes.
And they're so PR conscious that it won't take too many head injuries to maybe change that a little bit.
Exactly.
I could see your point. You love the game so much, you want to see more games, more great plays, more fantastic finishes and all that stuff. I can see that. I would also think maybe they would drop overtime. If they're going to add games, they may drop overtime in the collective bargaining situation.
And you would think, too, that maybe the proponents of 18 would say this is why we don't want kickoffs and we want to relegate special teams or mitigate special teams.
Well, what do you want to do, put the ball at the 25?
I mean, I still like special teams, certainly kickoffs, but I don't know.
How about if you have, like in soccer, if you have a kickoff between the kickers from their own 40, their own 35, their own 30, and that's where you get the ball if you make the field goal from that distance? You know what? I've always said that to make the games more exciting, take away the overtime completely. Don't have an overtime, and have it in a situation where the coach has to show you how much guts they have. In other words, if I'm beating you 21-20,
yes,
I'm sorry, 21-14. Got a minute left in the game and you score a touchdown to make it 21-20.
Okay. All
right, show me your guts. You're going to go for 2 or you're going to go for 1 and take a tie? It'll be an exciting play.
Yeah.
They never listen to me, though. Did you watch the Stanley Cup last night or throughout the couple of weeks?
Yes, I did. It was on in studio. I had the show last night in Independence. It was a fun one to watch from the peripheral vision and great for St. Louis. I'm not particularly fond of the Boston sports scene, especially as greedy as they've been with all these titles. So it didn't hurt me in the least. No Kleenex required to shed any tears for the Boston Bruins, and also great for the Blues. First cup, incredible story.
First cup in
Worst
52
to
years.
first.
Yeah.
What did they say? Fewest points in the entire NHL as of January 4th, as late as January 4th,
And they
I
caught
think
fire.
it was.
They caught
And
fire.
they won it all.
However, if you have a rooting interest or not, and I'll be honest with you, I couldn't name 5 guys on each team, but it's still great. And even though it was a blowout 4-1 as it turned out, at that moment when it's over, that's one of the great scenes in sports when everybody's flying off the bench and gloves and sticks are flying, and the handshakes between the players from both teams after the Stanley Cup is really one of the great traditions in all of sports.
It is, and it's a great show of sportsmanship and class at the end of those, even though it's been a hard-fought series and some guys probably can't stand each other on the other team. They still do it.
Yeah, they've killed each other for 7 games.
And, yeah, I mean, that's a credit to the NHL. They put on a great playoff product for sure, and the Stanley Cup was exhilarating for, what was it, April, May, June? Yeah. I mean, 3 months worth of wildness.
You get down to Game 7, you can almost kill the other guy because they're not going to call penalties.
And what was it, Chara, I believe, with Boston with the broken jaw. I mean, come on. These hockey players are so tough. It is mind-boggling. I got an up-close look at that just covering the minor league team
Absolutely.
here. The Barons and the Monsters. I mean, they're incredibly tough.
All right, does that Stanley Cup win give hopes for the Indians? D-Man alluded to that. We've got the voicemail of Truth and Reason if you can't catch us during the show, which, of course, airs live 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Any other time, if you can get to a phone or you want to leave us a message, do that at 216-200-6650. That's 216-200-6650. We'll come back in a moment. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family cool this summer,
let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at 440-449-HEAT.
Let's check out this date in sports history, June 13th, 2014. Benedictine's Chuck Noll, who coached the Pittsburgh Steelers to 4 Super Bowl wins, dies in 2014 at the age of 82. 216-575-0403. D-Man, you came up with some of the stats involved with the St. Louis Blues. Their first Stanley Cup win ever. It's in 52 years. Here's what happened. They beat the odds. They fired their head coach after 9-3 start. Then they had a record of 15-18-2 after 37 games, which was the worst in the NHL. They then went 30-10-7. How about that? To finish the season at 45-28-9. And they won the Stanley Cup after not making the playoffs last year. How about that?
Yeah, and right around that 37-game mark, I think they were 250-1. odds to win the Stanley Cup.
I heard Boomer Esiason talking about it on 92.3 The Fan. Somebody that he knew put $400 on them to win the Stanley Cup, and a couple of other side bets. He had a good week.
Yes.
No question about that. All right, so the question is, can worst to first, could that happen in, I don't know, the American League Central Division?
Yeah, and I mean, obviously the Indians wouldn't be coming from worst, but I get your point. They're mediocre to first. I suppose it's possible again, but with each passing day, the Twins look legitimate to me. Certainly their offense looks legitimate to me, and they have just enough pitching. What did we see in the 90s, Les, with the Indians? If you had even decent pitching, you were going to win. And I'm not comparing the Twins' offense to the Indians' offense of the 90s. I'm simply saying that in the American League, if you have a viable offense, you can carry an okay staff. And the Twins would argue, hey, what do you mean okay? We've got Odorizzi, Barrios, and Martin Perez pitching lights out. Now,
the bullpen is not very good.
On the other side, we're going, well, they got to come down a little bit from where they are. Maybe not Barrios. And I respect Odorizzi more than a lot of people do. But Perez is the one who seems to be pitching over his skis.
You see the Indians, every once in a while they break out of it and start hitting, but you're not going to be able to hit as a team if you've got Ramirez doing what he's doing and Kipnis doing what he's doing.
Yeah, Les, and you had mentioned about, Francona seemingly wanting to bunt more. Not seemingly, definitely bunting more.
Right.
I think what he's trying to do, it's not that he's suddenly fallen in love with bunting.
No, he hates the bunt.
It's that he says, you know what? I got to try something because we can't sit back and wait for the 3-run homer.
No,
not this crew.
But the worst thing that can happen happened the other night. He's got Bowers batting with runners on first and second. He calls the bunt, and he pops it up.
Popped it up against
not only is it
Chapman.
bad, not only are the odds bad if it's a successful bunt, it's horrible if it's a bunt that fails completely. In fact, somebody should tell. This is happening all over baseball. These guys are popping up on bunts and they're not running it out. And all you got to do is let the ball fall, and you're going to get yourself a double play. And
yes.
It could have happened if the first baseman was looking at what Bowers was doing down the baseline.
I agree, Les. The one guy on this roster that I would give license to bunt or play as small a ball as he wants is Jose-Ramirez, in hopes that the small steps lead to the bigger steps. Because, and I know Francisco-Lindor came out a few weeks ago and said, I want him to hit home runs. That's how he's going to break out of his slump.
Because that launch angle is going to be higher and higher.
I think that's part of what got him into trouble last year, was he smelled 40 homers. He was at 39. He got stuck on 39. Or he didn't hit many for the rest of the last 2 months. I would like to see Jose-Ramirez, who has speed, play the small ball game until he gets some confidence in the box.
Well, I'll go one step further.
And then he can start swinging for the fences, if you will.
I'll go one step further on that. If he lays down a bunt with the way they have the shift over, even the third baseman, or the third baseman isn't playing in, he's playing back, but they've got the shift on. If he can lay down a bunt either down the third base line or pass the pitcher toward the second baseman's position, all that's going to do is take them out of the shift a little bit and open up where he hits a little bit more.
You would think. But the contrarian or the cynic would say, well, there's so many issues with Jose-Ramirez that can't be expected to solve them. I'm not saying it's automatically the elixir. Oh, you let him start bunting and he'll be fine. No. What I am saying is he's a guy who has speed. So he can beat out the choppers or the little bunts.
Right.
So try those for size, maybe once every 2 games to try to get yourself going. Or Lindor said in the same comment where he was talking about how Jose needs to hit home runs, Lindor said, hey, Jose-Ramirez could hit line-to-line singles anytime he wants. All right.
Then do it.
Please do it. Because then you take the burden off Francona having to answer the question every day, and his teammates are looking at a guy in that scenario who's got his confidence back and his swagger back.
He also has an option left. Would you send him down for a couple of weeks just to tell him to work on these things, or is that too much of a put down to somebody who's had the success he's had?
You're definitely sure he has an option?
Yeah.
Okay. it's getting close. It's getting close to that point.
And just say
where
work on your line-to-line singles. Forget the home
do
run.
something,
Yeah.
but we need to see a different Ramirez. And when you're bad enough to attract the attention of Sports Illustrated and Tom Verducci, then that's bad. And Verducci went through the laundry list of problems, and we've seen them. You know, the pop-ups upon pop-ups upon pop-ups. He's out in front. He's caught in between. He's too early on the fastball, too late on the fastball, too early on the off-speed. He's off balance. And I think now the one place that you didn't think would ever hurt or he would ever be hurt by is the mental part. Because Ramirez always walks around with confidence, struts around the field.
You don't see that in the dugout.
Not anymore.
Yeah,
this is the first time I've seen the body language where it looks like Ramirez almost seems like he's a beaten guy.
Yeah, good point. Dennis-Manoloff is with us. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Today was a big stalking day at Sokolowski's University, and a lot of people joining us for lunch. You're invited to do that almost any Thursday when I'm there. Sokolowski's University Inn, it's Cleveland's oldest family-owned and operated restaurant. Since 1923, Mike and Bernie's grandparents started the whole thing off. Winner of the James Beard Foundation Award, only 5 in the country get it each and every year. And 5 minutes out of downtown Cleveland, take the Abbey Avenue exit. It's the first one out of downtown. Swing under the bridge, that's exactly where you're going to find Sokolowski's University Inn. D-Man and I return in a moment exclusively on cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
I had an epoxy-based sand paint on my floor that deteriorated, and that's why I called Nature Stone.
Why paint? It's expensive, it's ugly, and it doesn't last. Nature Stone is always affordable. It's beautiful, and with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your garage floor again. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
D-Man, let's take a look at this date in Les-Levine history, June 13th, 1964, with the tying and winning runs on first and second with one out on the bottom of the seventh. Les's coach told him to strike out on purpose to stay away from a double play ball. Let's look at the week in review. Since this is our last live show of the week, June 10th, 1999, Les comes to bat in a critical moment at Indians fantasy camp in Winter Haven. Jeff Torborg, the other team's manager, raises 3 fingers, the international signal for strikeout. You know, now they do 4 for walk. Torborg did that. June 11th, 1987, Les wants more playing time. He meets with his manager. He demands, play me or sit me. It's me on the bottom right. Here we go back again. When his fantasy camp teammates watched Les play, he got voted the Cy Old Award.
Nice.
As opposed to the Cy
Speaking
Young.
of fantasy camp, Les, how many times did you go?
Once.
Once. And what was it like? Did you enjoy it?
Terrific.
Okay. Is it as advertised is what I'm asking, basically?
Yeah.
You would say yes.
I mean, I think it would be nice if you went with somebody else you knew, kind of to hang out that way, but you get to know everybody pretty much. But there are some cliques involved and guys who've been there year after year, and no, it's terrific. I mean, at that point, we're talking almost 20 years ago, I think I was still playing softball at that point, so I could still play a little bit, but you got to watch out for hamstring pulls and all that stuff. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. We also have the voicemail of Truth and Reason. Howard from California checked in and had this to say.
West. This is Howard from California, a native of Cleveland, Ohio. Basically, read it in the internet today. They're talking about the Cleveland Indians team and made a sly reference to Major League, where the owner basically let the team go to hell because he wanted to move them. And it did reference the fact that the Indians apparently, their lease is up in 2023. Do you think it's possible that Dolan wants to move the team to Columbus or some other city, and that's why he's starving the team? So it'd be interesting to see if you put that on the air. Thanks a lot. Bye.
All right. Thank you, Howard. I appreciate that. First of all, I don't believe they could move to Columbus because of the territorial rights of Cincinnati. Would you agree with that?
Yes, and I'm not exactly sure when the lease is up, but I'm almost guaranteeing you the Indians are not going anywhere.
Okay, the other thing, saying they're starving the team or losing on purpose, are you forgetting that they won the last three divisions, the AFC North, or I'm sorry, the AFC North, the
AL Central.
The AL Central. They won the last three. That doesn't sound like a team that's throwing games on purpose.
You're so right. That is conveniently forgotten.
And I'll say, well, it was an easy division.
Right. Well, but nobody says that about the AFC East when the Patriots feast on the annual cupcakes that are Buffalo, Miami, and the Jets. Nobody puts an asterisk by their championship in that division, which, by the way, sows the seeds for a top seed, which gets them an off
gets
week,
them a bye, and they get some home field
game.
advantage.
Yeah, so no, I never do that, or rarely do that with divisions. Yes, the Central is soft compared to the East, for example, but yeah, one of the things that's problematic is in the moment, Cleveland fans generally seem to want to pick apart the Indians and conveniently forget that they've won 3 straight AL Central titles and did go to the World Series as recently as 2016.
And Howard's question is, do you think they'll move them? Moving them is, if you're worried about something or if you're concerned about something, it would be selling the team because of the value, excuse me, the value of what it is according to Forbes. You're talking about over $1 billion, right? So you don't move it. You probably would cash in. One thing I know about Paul Dolan, he's a Clevelander. He would not want the embarrassment of being the guy who let the team leave. Would you agree with that?
And I also don't think that MLB could do it given what happened with the Browns and and usually teams move. Why? Because of stadium issues. Well, Progressive Field, I mean, 1994 it opened. It looks great. It was upgraded and enhanced.
Well,
how do you make a case that the ballpark is bad?
No, you don't. Even though it's
not here.
No, not here. I mean, they have remodeled. I was looking at some old pictures from the mid '90s when they were here, and you forget what they've done in right field between not just the corner there, but just all of right field and the seating arrangements out there. And they tore some seats down to make it more comfortable or more closed in. If anything, I'd be concerned about them selling, but I don't think they're going to do that.
No, I agree. I think Howard can rest assured that the Indians are not going anywhere.
Especially Columbus. Because of the territorial rights of the Cincinnati Reds in Columbus. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Dennis Manoloff is with us. He's going to be starting podcast coming up in the next week or so with the Roadman, Kenny Roadman, Next Man Up, and we'll have more information on that. It'll be, an hour long?
I would think. That's generally podcast length is
well, you wouldn't do it live from 6 until 7 p.m., would you?
Absolutely not.
Thank you.
This time frame is reserved for the palatial studios of Mike Bacon and Classic Sports.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come on back in a moment one more time. If you'd like to get in, I assume we have emails to check out. We will do that. Catch the excitement of live harness racing every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, as well as Saturday nights. 6 p.m. is the post time for Northfield Park, where it's free admission, free parking every day. Each week, the Ohio Lottery's Partners in Education program recognizes students who are role models from across the state of Ohio. This week, we head to Brunswick High School to meet Maddie Gatos. Maddie excels in tennis as well as the classroom. The Ohio Lottery proud to salute Maddie Gatos, this week's Shining Star.
As she improves on the court, Madeline Gatos is also picking up a second language.
我喜欢打网球, which means I like to play tennis.
Between matches and going to Brunswick High School, Gatos wants to learn how to speak Chinese. So she took an additional class on her own through Kent State, hoping to chip away at the language barrier.
So we would learn things like if you met someone and you wanted to get food or you wanted to buy clothes or shoes, like how would you ask that question? How would you be able to respond?
No matter the language, Maddie is a quick learner. She owns a 4.3 GPA, and she's a member of the National Honor Society.
She's always striving to be her personal best. She's cordial, she's respectful, she's fun, she's always trying to learn more. She's just incredible.
Gatos shares her knowledge as a peer tutor, which includes her teammates on the tennis team. Maddie was named a team captain this year as a junior, and she was named the team's most improved player.
As she's rounded her game out, becoming more versatile, she started to come into the net, and she's starting to, hit volleys, serving in volleys. So she's just really taking her game to another level, make her a more dangerous player.
She's also a scholar athlete and a member of student council, who volunteers her time at Safety Town and at the Brunswick Library. There's an old Chinese proverb that says, learning is a treasure that will follow its owner everywhere. Maddie Gatos is proof.
I'm guilty of procrastinating too. So going to the library helps, it gives me a setting where I know in this amount of time, I gotta get this stuff done, and I will.
Well, if you know of a student deserving of recognition, visit OhioLottery.com, go to the About section, find the tab marked Supporting Education to nominate him or her as an academic all-star. He or she could end up as one of our shining stars from the Ohio Lottery. Got some Facebook results to take a look at. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine. New content is posted each and every day. Today we asked you if you plan on watching Game 6 of the NBA Finals tonight. And we got plenty of responses, and are we going to get to them, or am I going to read them? There you go. Do you plan on watching Game 6 of the NBA Finals starting tonight? 9 o'clock contest, a little bit late for most people. Here you have it. Frank Oswald says, yes, why not?
Agreed.
Glenn Berger says, I'll watch the first half, then go to bed at halftime. If I stay up late to watch a game, it'll be an Indians game, not Golden State.
Nice.
Rick May says, nice game, last game at the Oracle, so I'll be watching just to see the crowd reaction. I'll also be interested in the crowd reaction should the Raptors close out the series tonight. Time to look at some emails that have come in. And I got to tell you, before I even get to Mr. Gullible's, he's starting to make he's like the hot dog race at the Progressive Field. They start out in the back and they come from behind and make a run for it. This is from Cleveland Bill. That Bleacher Report we had earlier, D-Man?
Yes.
How come because of the Bleacher Report can Browns fans now cheer, we're number one supporting cast, we're number one supporting cast?
Nice.
Take that, Steeler fan. Cleveland Bill writes this one. How come the beach community was so divided even their sunglasses were polarized? Mr. Gullible. How come my boss told me to have a nice day, so I went home? That's tough to beat. But he did. He didn't beat it. I don't have any idea what the second one is. Don't read it. Just look at it. See if it makes any sense to you. It doesn't for me. I don't know enough about geography. This comes in from John Patrick with his daily double. Hi, Les and Dennis. You get that?
Yeah, a little bit.
All right.
It's all right.
Yeah, leave it. How come Bill Gates and I now have a combined fortune of over $50 billion? How come during the Civil War my great-uncle fought for the West?
Second one better than the
second one is better than the first. You want to grade them? You get add them together, divide by 2. It's the one with the combined fortune of over $50 billion, and then his uncle fought, great uncle fought 6.0.
Yeah, that was weak. The first one was weak. I mean, was I missing something or what?
Yeah, you add up his savings and Bill Gates' savings, and it's about $50 billion.
Yeah, but
it's like the home run. Who has what brother combination has the most homers? The Aaron brothers, Tommy and Hank. Tommy, I think, had 13 or 11 or something like that. Got a couple of minutes to fill. Anything on your mind that you'd like to spew here?
Just like you say, the NFL offseason's too long. I hope that the Browns can stay out of trouble. The Indians need to make hay in the next couple of weeks to convince the front office that it's worthy.
Texas. Yeah.
And, the Rangers, don't they play the Rangers on this trip?
Yes, Detroit, at Texas, and then back home.
The Rangers are...
No, they're not horrible.
I think they're in the wild cards.
Yeah,
I think they're holding down the number 2 spot, perhaps. But I don't take them seriously, though. I don't think the Rangers have the staying power. Maybe I'm wrong. But the Indians need to start winning.
And an argument you always have against Texas is they play all year in Texas, and it's so hot there that it's tough to play.
And I talked to players down there in the 90s, in 97 when I went to do a feature on Ivan Rodriguez for our All-Star section, which was the last time we had the All-Star game here. And they said it's very real. You feel like a stick of butter out there melting in the August and September.
Well, I thought BP had a work stoppage with us because he was upset with his last call, or our response to his last call. Let's make amends. BP, how are you?
Great. How you guys doing?
Not bad, not bad. What's up?
Well, I figured on the potential last night of the NBA season, I thought I'd give you guys a call. I haven't talked to you in a while, and since we last talked, Kevin Durant's out for at least, probably the next season, and the Cavs hired a female coach.
Right. Your thoughts on both?
I'm not a very big Golden State fan, especially since, KD joined them. So to me, it's, I do feel sorry for the guy, and but, in the end, it is what it is. It's like, the human body can only take so many up and downs, and I guess it was his time to, rupture his Achilles.
Yeah,
but I don't blame, the blame game, I don't blame the Golden State. I don't think there's any, nefarious things going on there.
No.
I just think it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't think anybody does that on purpose. But if you're not a Golden State fan, that there's no reason to rejoice here. You don't want to see anybody hurt, and it's too bad that that's what happened to Kevin Durant. Your thoughts on Lindsay Gottlieb? What do you think?
Yeah, actually, going back to the Cavs thing, to me though, it really hurts as a Cavs fan. Like we got the best Kevin Durant that ever was. In 2017, he destroyed LeBron, especially in those first 2 games out in Golden State. And I was like, whoa! I just couldn't believe how good he was. I never thought Durant was going to be that good. And so I really feel like we really saw the best of Durant, unfortunately, for Cavs fans.
Yeah, especially them coming off of beating the Cavaliers without Kyrie and without Kevin Love. And, yeah, you're right. They got the best of them, no question about it.
And when you really think about it, the Cavs, we lost to Golden State. To me, doesn't look that strong now. Like the Splash Brothers and Draymond Green, they could easily lose tonight, and that will diminish their legacy. And
yeah,
it's
that would
it
mean
really
they
does
lose.
Hurt as a Cavs fan, because in 2015, that really could have been our championship with a healthy Kyrie and a healthy Kevin Love, and LeBron was at the top of his game.
Yeah, think about that. If they lose tonight, D-Man, they lose all 3 games at home in this series.
That would be stunning to me.
And also, ABC has showed a graphic, in the NBA Finals, without Kevin Durant, Golden State's a 500 team. They're average. So, that's factoring. They've lost a lot of games now to the Raptors. They lost a lot of games to the Cavs without Kevin Durant.
All right, I got about a minute. I know you're a big Cavs fan. What do you think of the hire of Lindsay Gottlieb?
I'm all for women, but I don't really get, I don't know. I just don't get it. I don't know. The Cavs were haggling over a few shekels with David Griffin. A couple of years ago, they lost Griffin, and then we lost the whole team because of it. Now, this lady was a head coach at University of California. She was making great money there. I think it was $800,000 or $900,000 a year, probably. And then you add in the basketball camps. I don't know where the Cavs are getting all this money to pay all these high-profile assistants. I don't love it. What do you think?
You think she was making that much money there?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
I think I saw a figure about $700,000 or $800,000, and coaches make money at these big programs. So
well, some woman
she didn't come here to take a pay cut. I'm sure of that.
And some woman is going to be that one to cross the barrier and be the first head coach in the NBA. And she's
what
probably.
Does D-Man think?
Well, D-Man, what do you think?
I'm fine with it. I said as long as Beeline's fine with it, I'm fine with it.
But to me, it's
Beeline's the one who's on the hook.
One last question, you guys, and I'll let you go. Of course. What is the status of Dan Gilbert? Because is this guy? Is he still in the hospital? Is he? What is his current status?
Yeah, we don't know officially.
Up in the air.
It's up in the air as far as we know, and we're not going to speculate on that until we get some word from either Quicken Loans or from the Cavaliers.
Up in the air, I mean, we don't know.
Yeah, we
exactly.
don't know.
Nobody knows.
All right,
other than his family.
BP, we got to move. Thank you so much.
Thanks, BP.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
That'll do it for us. D-Man, you're on your way. You got a show on WTAM tonight.
Yes, sir.
And it starts the moment you get there. Drive carefully.
Well, it starts at 7 without me. Munch will be holding down the fort, Munch Bishop, and then I come in hopefully around 7:45.
Very good. You can just repeat the stuff that came on the show tonight.
You got it, Les.
That'll do it for us. Have a great sports weekend. I'll see you on Monday. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.